Oh, let me make sure I
Hey,
got this muted. How you doing, Ellis?
hey, doing great. We had a little trouble getting started today, but we're here now. That's all that counts.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was. I didn't get your email for some reason.
Yeah, it's what can you do when that sort of thing happens? It's like when your
And I
your
even
power
checked on,
goes off. What do you do?
yeah, I even checked on my desktop because I thought, because sometimes the phone, I turned my phone. I mean, you had just emailed me like a few minutes earlier, like at 6:47.
Well, and counting on email to drop is another one of those things we do without, you know,
Oh
how
yeah.
how how smart are we for counting on some of these things that are likely to happen a different way every hour, you know.
You could always text me that link, and as long as I got the link, I'd be good. You could text me the link.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you could, I don't know if you could through your
Well, I'd
device,
have
but
to transcribe it.
uh,
that's
call,
that's
be
a
like,
little more of a hassle in terms of like how it's done.
it'd be like the old days where you're reading your
Yeah,
credit card number over the phone.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. It's like let's see, X
yeah, except it's got letters in it.
semicolon backslash. Okay, I'm getting it.
I'm still in the shot. How do I
Yeah.
manage that? Anyway, so I want to tell you something. I am
Okay.
taking off, which by the way is supposed to be beautiful tomorrow, and I'm going downtown. But I'm taking off the week of Memorial Day, and I tell you that because I am soliciting movies to watch, and so I would our viewers. I'm making a list. I'm doing something a little bit different than I.
Yeah, I
Okay,
tell you,
so
yeah, I asked for audience participation. You'll probably
yes,
get a
I've
million things.
well, probably so, and which that's fine. I mean, I won't watch all of them, obviously, but I did something. So, my work, I got a ton of vacation days saved up, and I keep hearing rumors they're going to make us use them or take them from us and
Take them
pay
from you.
us. And well, they'll pay us, but I don't want to get paid. I'd rather have the days.
Yeah, yeah,
And
time.
so,
What's that worth?
yeah, oh God, yes, and so I took off the week of Memorial Day. I'll be off work like 10 days, maybe longer because we're closed the Friday before. So I've done this in the past, and I've had like, and I've called it like an artist sabbatical or whatever, and I've tried to be real good about staying busy, but the trick to that is having stuff to do, not just waking up and going, what am I going to do today?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I've actually made a checklist for every day, and I've made a list of stuff I want to get done, and what which I don't know if Dan is watching or not, but one of them is I've got to get chapter 4 of, which it should be done before Memorial Day. I mean, I'm drawing page 11. There's only 12 pages, but I'm gonna definitely have them all done and scanned. But I mean, I've got a bunch of other stuff I want to do. And one of the things is I made a list of books I want to read, movies I want to watch, and audiobooks I want to listen to. And I was going to email, you and Dave and Barry and say, hey, I have about, hang on, sorry about that. I have, about 5 days free. What should I watch? And the stuff I've got on the days I've got stuff, and I watch a movie a night probably,
I got one that would only last an hour. I just finished off Karloff and Lugosi in The Black Cat. I rented it from Amazon. But you know
Oh yeah.
what? Dave has probably given you that on that big Universal package that he gave both of us. I guess I shouldn't talk about it. No.
Yeah, well, I don't.
Sorry.
First off, I don't think I got that,
Oh, okay.
but I mean that's one reason why I'm soliciting stuff now
Yeah.
because if the library has it, I may want to get through the library.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, the black cat, I'm not sure. It can be kind of hard to find, hard to get.
I thought it
For
was on
for
YouTube.
yeah, huh?
Am I
Well,
thinking?
there's one that's got like the Basil Rathbone in it, that was made 10 years later. This was in 1934, and it's the first one, and it's
I don't think I'm thinking of the right movie.
yeah, exactly. It's the black cat, and
I'm thinking of Cat People
yeah,
or
okay,
Cat
yeah,
whatever. The one where the woman turns into a panther.
yes, that is the cat people, and that's a fairly modern movie.
No.
That,
There's an
yeah,
old
there's an
one.
old one, yeah, that
That's the one I was
but
thinking.
she
But
yeah she doesn't on screen turn into a cat. In
no.
the modern one, she does.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one. But
Natasha Kinski.
oh yeah. Anyway, so if anybody out there knows of a movie, and you kind of know, the stuff I like is I mean, if you send me a rom com, I'm not gonna ignore you, but you know,
Well, Marvel movies is or whoever is putting these out, is Disney, I guess, has said they're going to cap the movies. They're only going to make 3 a year. They've
no, that's
realized they're
oh
their
god,
own worst enemies. Like, hey, we aren't going to make 1 billion on every movie we put out. Good
hey they could
lord.
they could make five of them a year if they'd make them good.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
You know.
it's funny you say that though because on my list I want to watch the three latest X-Men movies, and I'm probably gonna start watching some of these now, by the way. But I want to watch the three latest X-Men movies, and then I want to watch Civil War. I thought
Ah,
Civil, you
yeah. I
know,
mean that has got a lot of people saying, "Hey, yeah, it was more interesting than I thought it was." I thought a lot of people would just hate it because it's wherever it landed politically. They, you by based on party lines, you'd hate it or not. But I guess people are finding it an interesting film.
yeah, Civil War's good. You've seen Civil War, haven't you?
No, I
Oh
haven't.
no, hang on. I'm talking about Marvel's Civil War,
Oh, okay.
not the Captain America Civil War, not the
Okay.
latest one. I'm not
Oh,
watching that,
okay.
but I've heard it's pretty good.
I was talking about the outbreak of Civil War here in this country. Okay.
Oh yeah, no. That's too. I'll just look
Too,
out the window if I want to
it's
see
too
that.
real, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. Yeah. Well, hopefully not, but jeez, you never
Well,
know.
I get the feeling people are saying, "Hey, we're in the position we want to be right now, and let's have a civil war. We'll win it in 2 days." It's like when Biden says, "Hey, yeah, those guns you guys all want to keep and all that. Let's try you against a couple of F-15s." It's like,
Yeah.
what kind of president says that? Like,
Yeah.
what says,
Even
hey,
even
why
a
don't you try that on me with me and my F-15s? It's like, good God, y'all,
yeah.
get rid of that guy.
Yeah.
Just,
He's a horrible person.
yeah,
I mean, yeah. No matter what you think about him politically, you can't think he's a decent person, and just like so full of crap. I mean, he's
yeah, oh,
constantly lying.
yeah,
My
yeah,
uncle's ate by cannibals. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
geez,
Yeah,
what
they
a
have a Pinocchio headline on him today about how his CNN interview
oh yeah.
he went 1 minute, he couldn't go a minute without telling some sort of lie.
Oh, well, yeah.
Of
I'm a
course,
big
right now
fan of.
he's gone anti-Israel. You talk about
Yeah,
a bad choice for staying in the good graces of the media. You just screwed up there, Joe.
yeah. Well, yeah. They're not going to go for Trump,
Yeah.
but I
They're
mean,
not going to turn
but
around
they
and go
don't.
for.
But they don't have to. All they can do is take their foot off his neck, and Joe's in
Yeah,
trouble,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah. He was a mistake. He was installed, and we got.
Well, I mean, you say it was a mistake, and I think it was a mistake for the country, but for them it was perfect. I mean, they got
Oh
what they
yeah, oh
wanted. They
yeah,
got
oh
power,
my
you know.
gosh, they had the money flow. Nancy put it when her little, she was really sauced up, and she says, "We think of him like open sesame," and I mean, she was just right out and saying, "It's like
That's like
we couldn't be more delighted. Open
yep,
sesame."
yep, and I mean, God, the money that we've sent to Ukraine, we've paid for Ukraine's government for years.
Oh,
We've probably funded their social security system.
that whole loop that went on with Ukraine is, I guess, still going on.
And then it's like, well, we're not going to send anybody. If Israel doesn't toe the line, how about if Hamas doesn't give back hostages? There's still what, like 7 Americans held by Hamas, assuming they're still alive. I
Yeah.
mean, you would think Biden would give
Can
a
you
crap
imagine? I
about
mean,
that.
it's so early now. Can you imagine when this all heats up? They've got Donald Trump dragged into court and doing all this stuff that just ought to be just blatantly causing rioting in the street. Basically, if there was actually any sort of thing that ought to go on, legitimately politically.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not. It's still early. I mean, it's like, well, of course, November is soon enough, but
It'll
it
be here.
hasn't even started to
Yeah.
heat up yet.
No. And they've managed to keep Donald Trump tied up with all these court cases and stuff. And it's like they've had I can't believe some judge hadn't stepped in and said, you've had 3 years or more for this stuff. You
Mm.
cannot drag him. I mean, this is literally the definition
Well,
of election interference.
I guess they'd
Yeah.
have to get the Supreme Court to step in, or they'd have to. I don't know what you do when you're basically fighting the idea of what is legal. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
these guys that do this. It just shows you what a police state will be like, and
Oh my gosh. Yes.
it's like, hey man, I didn't do anything, so we're gonna examine that closely. We don't think you know what.
Yeah. You don't know what you did.
You don't know what you did. We're going to have a look.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
Hey man, I don't have that much money. Well then, I guess you
Well, look at
are
all
in
the
trouble.
How many of the January 6th people have been released years after they were arrested
Yeah,
with no
it's
trial, no nothing?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah. There's no
God,
apologies, definitely.
my God, that should be the most blatantly illegal thing to do is arrest someone with no charges, even. Just, oh, we're gonna.
Well, apparently the latest news on that is they actually upping the rate at which they are arresting them. They're still
Oh, oh,
they're still in the mode of tracking them down.
God, how could there be anybody left? How
I
many are they
don't know.
arrested?
That is amazing to me. It's like, who do you imagine? I mean, if Ray Epps gets a pass, it's like, who the heck
Well, of
is
course they'll
out?
get a. Well, of course they'll get a pass. He works for the government, Ellis.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, jeez.
That's the deal. It's like, yeah, the comeuppance on all this. I don't know who could ever be possibly able to
Well,
give me
that's
what I want out of it.
Well, that's what I was listening to a thing today when I was waiting for you to call or waiting for you to watch it for an email.
Connect. Yeah.
Yeah, for us to connect, I was watching YouTube and I forget who was talking. Yeah, I think it was somebody on CNN. Maybe it was a liberal or a mainstream commentator that was talking about something, and they were like, when the Republicans get in, they're going to do all this the other way. It's like.
No,
Yeah,
they won't. They don't
well,
have
yeah,
they don't have the
unfortunately they
guts.
won't.
They don't have the gumption
They're
to
too
do it.
civil. They're too. But there was some fear expressed. I think there's
Oh,
some people that would.
they are the they are the party of the trial lawyers. They aren't the least bit afraid of legal threat. They'll
Yeah. Yep.
they'll say,
Well.
bring it.
Well. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what would happen to make you feel like that justice has been served in some of these situations.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, there definitely needs to be some stuff looked at. You know. But
And Trump, it's like how much of it would he let? He's going to let all of it slide because the moment he starts to say, "Hey, this needs to be," I need to find out what was going on here with all this January 6th stuff and all of the Russiagate stuff, all this stuff that needs a few answers here and there. They'd instantly say, "Hey, get this guy back in place. He's doing political persecutions," even though
Yeah.
that's all the
Doug.
Biden administration is doing right now is political persecution.
Yeah.
But they would never get off of it. They would be like day 10
Yeah.
of the Trump persecution of
Yep.
Do
Yeah.
and they
Merrick
would oh
Garland.
my God, they'd have oh, Wim likes my werewolf. Wim is present, but Dan isn't.
Oh, I like your werewolf.
Yeah, it's coming out okay. I actually started something. What did I do? I moved that to the front room when I was pretty sure we weren't going to be having a discussion, and well, I can show you. This is the. I'll share this screen again. This is how I had it set up before we got together. You're working on a whole bunch of panels for the Black Cricket, aren't you? It's like
Yeah. Hey, so let me show you what I did last.
okay.
So
I'll,
this is
I'll,
I
I'll go
started this
solo.
last. I started this last week,
Okay.
and I finished it. I don't know if you remember. I was having issues with the kick and the.
Hold that up toward your camera and get close on it.
Hang on, let me stand up so I can see what I'm looking at.
Yeah. There you go. Oh yeah. Uh huh.
Because there's some question about him landing
Uh huh.
and then kicking, and so so in this panel or in this page, which I started tonight, he's confronting this girl. She's talking on her cell phone. I don't know if you can tell in that last panel. She's talking on her cell phone to somebody, and he's kind of like, "Who are you talking to? Who are you working with?" And so this panel stays the same. The background. That's why I don't have a background here. I'm going to Photoshop this in here, and this guy's actually coming through the wall. He's got superpowers, and so in the last panel, then they're going to fight. So that's what I'm working on. But
Very cool. Very
anyway,
cool. It's going to end up being a lot of panels, unless down at the bottom it's going to be a big one. Is that going to be a big one?
It's not 6 panels.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Not a huge amount, but
Yeah. You start to get tired of it if you get too much. Well, I say that, and I love, the Watchmen had that formula of, gosh, how many panels did that have a page? 12 on average?
It was the 9-panel grid it was based
Okay.
on, but he'd break it up. But yeah, I mean, well.
And I dug that. Of course, it takes, you think you're going to read a quick comic book sometime when you pick up Watchmen, and it's like, wait a minute, it's going to take me as long to read as a book.
Yeah, you're like, I've read this a dozen times. This should be quick. And it's like, nope.
Wait a second.
Watchmen is not on my to-read list while I'm...
Yeah.
Solomon Kane is, though.
Solomon Kane, you're going to get into some
I've
ERB or...
Yeah.
No, that's not an ERB.
No. REH. Robert E. Howard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got that Solomon Kane book that's got every Solomon Kane thing ever written.
All of them.
Yeah, I think there's some unfinished stuff even. I've read.
You sure you're going to read that, or did you give that to me? I forget.
I know. No, I gave you the Conan book.
Oh, okay.
No. Trust me, I did not give you anything I did not have a second copy of.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so I'm gonna read. That's on my list to read. Now, whether I make it or not, But the idea is just not to have any time where I'm just sitting around going, "What should I do now?" I'm gonna try and work on my samples book, like we talked about. With all my my Amazon book with all my samples. I think that'd be good because I've got that my YouTube channel's been blowing up, man.
This is the thing I was working on. I worked on this for about 30 minutes and got a pretty good transfer of this particular image I'm sharing
Oh,
of
nice.
of and I'm going to do it just like that. It's going to be so black. It's based on the I think it's like creepy number 2 or 3 of that Frazetta did, where he had a character right in the center of a circle, surrounded by wolves that were coming in, that were almost completely silhouettes.
Nice. Are you going to paint that, Ellis, or what are you
Yeah, I'm
going
going to
to do?
paint it. I'm going to ultimately paint it. I've got it on that oil paint paper.
Oh,
And it,
yeah, that you got that you liked. So,
well,
oh,
I'm discovering I like it kinda.
oh,
Now, am
kind
I
of.
going to ink this or just leave it as a sloppy pencil? I think for the sake of getting on with doing a couple of sketches tonight, I'll just go ahead and quit on that one and scan it as a pencil and think about inking it later.
So I'm going to show you something. I stepped out of the room. I'm going to show you. I bought. So last weekend, I did this. I got this idea that I want to draw, and I think I told you this. Last week I did Free Comic Book Day,
Uh
and I
huh.
did
Yes.
sketches. So I was in preparation for that. I was doing sketches of characters,
Uh huh.
and so
From the book of Marvel, the
the
complete.
Marvel of the official handbook of Marvel Comics,
Yeah.
and it's got all. It was published in the '80s. It collects all of the comics, but it was published in like the early '80s, and it's got every character. And so I'm going through that. Well, so I started it in one sketchbook, and I'd been wanting to buy one of these. It's a little square sketchbook called an Illo,
Uh
and
huh.
I thought that would be perfect. And so I bought this. It's got a dent in it. It's square, but the paper's really. And so I've
You
done
like the
two of
paper?
them.
Uh huh.
I,
Yeah.
I
There's what's his
the absor-
name?
the absorbing man.
The absorbing man. That's right.
Anything he touches, he can take the like the, if he touches iron, he becomes iron. And then I
Yes.
did Angar the Screamer. I'm not doing every character, and this is as far as I've got this week. But this is something else I'm gonna work on while I'm gone. I want to kind of work my way through the book. Again, I'm not gonna do everybody. There's way too many characters, but I'm gonna do the interesting ones. That's kind of my
Uh huh.
goal, and do the stuff that I think would be interesting. And so anyway, that's the other thing or another thing I'm working on besides the Black Cricket, of course.
I think the absorbing man was a character I remember as I was reading and got car sick, and so I've got
Oh, really?
you can't when you have associations like that, they never really go away. So I get a little ill when I look at a picture of the absorbing man. I still think of nausea is one of those
Yeah.
things you
Oh,
just don't want to go through, and
I don't
and
get car sick, but one time
well, if you're
I
reading a comic book, you might.
no. I can read in the car,
Oh,
but
you
one
can.
time.
Wow, I
Oh,
can't.
oh yeah. Oh, Michelle can't either, but I can read in the car no problem. Uh, One time we went to with my in-laws to Bella Vista, Arkansas, and we're in my father-in-law's. He had a Buick Riviera, and it was a two-door, so it was kind of this thing where you're in the back seat. I got the back of my head. You're in this back seat, so already it's kind of a precarious situation. And that car had this weird suspension that was like an air shock suspension, and so it was kind of floaty. And
Uh
then we go
huh.
through we're going. So I'm in the back seat. I'm kind of trapped. I don't have a window I can roll down or anything like that. Uh, we're in Arkansas, and it's kind of this floaty. We're going through these hills, and I never got actually ill, but I got very nauseous doing that, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
So
Being on the edge, it's almost like I just want to throw up.
yeah,
Let's
I
get
couldn't.
there.
I was reading, but I had to stop. It was like, oh, I can't do this. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, then you had it. Then you had motion sickness of some sort.
Yeah, I did. And again, I didn't throw up or anything, but man, I sure was
That
just like,
that
oh,
that's the deal. People start out with all this enthusiasm for let's get out on the boat and
Oh
do
yeah.
some fishing and beer drinking, and then you get out on that boat, and those waves start to work on your inner ear, and it's like, oh, good Lord, let's go
What was
back
I
to the
thinking?
house.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been on the ocean, but I've been on boats, but never like a long time. But the appeal of a boat never appealed to me,
I,
which
I've
is
ne- I,
funny.
I've named this. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the
Well, I was gonna say it's
having a
funny.
boat never appealed to you. Yeah, I mean, all
No,
I've heard is that it's a hole you throw money into, a
yeah,
hole in the water you throw money into.
yeah, yeah. I think I agree with that from what I've heard. But I mean, I know a lot of people at my work have boats, and they go to the lake, and and they just have a good old and go. I don't even like going to the lake. When Michelle was a kid, she'd go camping, and I've gone a couple times with their family to lakes and picnics, and it's like this ain't for me.
Yeah.
I'm just bored stiff.
Well,
You
yeah,
know.
that's yeah, that shows personality there. I mean, it's like you've got your personality, I've got mine, and that's the way people are built. Some people, it's like, come on, let's get on the boat. It's like, I would rather do anything than be on that boat.
Yeah, my yeah. It just when I was a kid, my grandparents had a cabin, and occasionally we'd go to the cabin, and I hated that. I remember their cabin. I forget the lake it was on, but it wasn't right on the lake. It was pretty close to some lake, and we go there, and I remember and it was a long ride up, and we go up there, and I never liked fishing. I didn't really fish, and we just
Yeah.
hung out, and there was no furniture there. It's like, well,
What?
this yeah, what are we gonna do? Just stand around? I literally was like stand around, and I hate that crap. You
Yeah.
know, that's why I don't
You're
like going. I like,
you're a modern person. Yep. I
yeah,
mean, it's like
yeah.
you got to have something happening.
Well, we did that. We went to.
You're
I think I
not
told you.
you're not Thoreau. Of course, Thoreau. You read that. I listened to an audio version of that on Walden Pond, and
Oh
he
yeah,
stayed pretty busy because
yeah. Well,
he had
yeah,
to.
he's
If he wants to
surviving.
survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, and so like a couple of years ago, we went with my in-laws to Yellowstone, and we drove around, but I was very just like, okay, yeah, whatever. We drove. I mean, we drove for hours in Yellowstone Park one day. And we'd stop and get out. But I mean, I enjoyed going to the different hotels and stuff in the park, and going to
yeah,
the souvenir places as much as anything. But the and we did see Old Faithful go off, and that was kind of cool.
yeah.
But I mean,
Road trips are always fun on a lot of levels. I mean, you're always like you're Adam the Woo. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, and
you're
the
stopping.
but in the evening we'd go back. We'd drive around, then we go back, and the town we were in by Yellowstone, there wasn't really much going on. And we'd kind of park the car at the house they rented, and we'd walk around, and there was, but I mean, we just kind of sat around the evenings. I was just bored. I remember I was reading the novelization of The Taking of Pelham 123.
Which is longer than the movie and
Yeah.
a little less exciting.
Yes. So I'm reading it. My sister-in-law comes to me and goes, "What are you reading?" And I said, "It's Taking a Pelham 123." And she says, "So what's that about?" And I said, "Well, it's about bad men doing evil things to people." And she
Oh,
shuddered. She visibly shuddered. And I was like, "Okay, my." But I mean, it's like Scott. It's like, "Hey, you can't sit here and draw because we're with family." And I'm
uh,
like, wait a minute, they're all on their phone, or I'd be drawing and they'd want to see what I was drawing. And I mean, it's like, well, I don't come to you and go, well, what are you looking at on your phone? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
for somehow it's seen as different, it's more social if we sit in a circle and look at our phones. But if I'm drawing, that's antisocial, so it's like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's some crap.
Well, it's. I guess it's so obvious that you're letting it take you away, basically.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're doing something we don't enjoy. So,
Yeah.
you know.
you put yourself in some sort of alpha state that has got you out of here.
Yeah, you've
So
escaped from
yeah,
planet relative.
yeah.
Anyway, and we're going to do that again soon with the
Wim
relatives.
says he never had motion sickness on a boat. Enjoyed them for the most part. Cars got him sick though. Have got him sick. I've gotten sick on a small airplane. I was really looking forward to the novelty
Oh,
of being on a small airplane that was actually
yeah.
taking me to Arkansas,
Oh,
to
there
a
you go.
small airport there, and oh man, there's just a little extra
Define
heap.
small.
Yeah,
How
yeah, yeah.
small? How small was it, Ellis?
It was
Like a small commercial plane,
no, it was a little like
like 12-seater, four.
like a jet prop. It had
Oh, okay.
props, and it probably only seated. Oh, I don't think it probably had seats for 30 in it. I don't know. It was small
Okay.
enough.
So it was a small. Was a commercial, I guess.
It was yeah, it was commercial. It was still
Okay. Yeah,
commercial, and it stops in a little.
yeah, I've been to some of those. They're
Yeah. You have to go for your company, whatever. It's got
well,
a small jet, right?
they got rid of it a few years ago, but yeah. So my grandfather was a corporate pilot for a company that had a plane, and we flew with him a couple times, and that was a jet. And then a friend of my brother's, his parents bought him a little four-seater plane, little prop plane, and I've flown in that a couple times, and that was kind of crazy. But the company had a jet, and yeah, the jet was like a 12-seater jet, and I flew in that twice. And yeah, those small planes, I would much rather fly in a commercial plane than a small plane. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
even though everybody's
They
like,
buck and
well,
heave,
yeah,
and it's like,
they're not smooth like a big jet, and they
hmm,
fly lower, and a little bit
hmm,
slower. But it is cool because when they had it, you go up to the airport, which is less than a mile from my house. You go to the airport, walk out on the
yeah,
tarmac, and you're in the jet, man. I mean,
that is cool. Yeah, that would have a lot of appeal with this, with all the
yeah.
craziness that goes on in
Oh yeah,
commercial travel anymore these days.
yeah. But it was expensive to run and maintain.
All that security.
Yeah, and anyway, but yeah, it was cool. The bad thing was when we got to Illinois, the nearest airport to where we needed to be was still like an hour's drive. So there's still a big drive at the end of it,
Hmm.
which sucked. But it beats that 10-hour car ride
Oh yeah.
that we have to do now, but oh well. Anyway,
Yeah, I wanted to tell you. You know, I named this thing sleep paralysis.
yeah,
Have you ever had the experience of sleep paralysis where you
nope, nope,
where you're trying to wake up and you can't wake up?
no, no, thank God.
Well, and usually there's a kind of an awful thing that's motivating you to wake up. It's a kind of a nightmare
Yeah.
that's typical. And I had this guy I was working with building an elevator with him. He was kind of the guy in charge, had more experience at that sort of thing. And he told me this story of when he was in the military and he was having some fun with some girl that he knew was married, and said
Uh-oh.
he experienced that paralysis when he was aware the husband had returned home.
Oh
And
gosh.
he couldn't make himself wake up. But the deal is that experience he was recounting to me was quite likely a nightmare that wasn't actually occurring.
Yeah, yeah.
He was in a nightmare state and couldn't wake up. And of course, when you're sleeping, your body does paralyze itself, so you don't sleepwalk, so you don't take off in a full run when something chases you in your
Oh,
nightmare.
yeah, that makes sense. I never thought about that, but yeah, that's
So you're automatically paralyzed in sleep, but the sleep paralysis apparently it's it doesn't occur with everyone, and it was interesting to me to hear that you've never experienced it.
Nope, never. I mean, I've heard of it, so it's not like, oh my gosh, what is this?
My
But
largest fear is suffering paralysis when I'm needing. Yeah, we all want to be able to punch the guy that's doing something like, he needs punching, but you can't do it because you've got so many fearful things working on you know,
yeah, yeah,
yourself, and
that's
you want to be able to step up and do the punching, but you know you have that fear about performance and what might happen to you and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, paralysis is a big deal when you're out there in the world. It's like you worry about it. It's like, oh, will I step up and save that kid when I know somebody's trying to kidnap him? Got to do that, don't I? You know,
yes, you must,
but
Ellis.
but at the same time, you might get paralyzed in the faced with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it happens to a lot of people. They're in
Oh yeah.
situations like,
It's
why
like,
didn't
oh
you
well,
do something?
should I be messing with that? Oh my goodness. And
Well, and
I think
that's
of all the things I want to just go away when I see them. Oh, you guys take that somewhere else. You obviously don't interact with everything bad going on.
no, yeah, no. Some stuff you just like, okay, I'll ignore it.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. There was I was when I was driving home today. I was on the high, or not. I'm gonna say the highway, but it wasn't really the highway. There's a large road by my house. It's called Northwest Expressway, but it's a 6-lane road, but it's stop and go traffic. It's just a major road in Oklahoma City,
Mm-hmm.
and I and there's a spot where I turn to go to my house, and there tends to be panhandlers there, and there's a guy
Yeah.
standing in the middle of the turn lane, and he was well, he wasn't in the middle, but he was standing. The guy in front of me swerved in their lane and went around him. I didn't have that option because there were cars there, and
Mm-hmm.
so I pulled forward. But if I went forward, I might have ran over his feet. I mean, and he was wearing flip flops. He wasn't wearing shoes, but he was just
Great.
kind of standing in the gutter. And I was like there, and he kind of was looking at me, kind of like, "What are you gonna do?" And I waited, and I was like, "If the light turns green, I'm gonna go. And if his feet are in the way, it's tough for him." And I keep among other things in my car, I keep mace. And so
Mm-hmm.
I got the mace out, and I was like, well, if he comes up here, he's getting a face full of mace, you know, or if he comes up with intent,
With
you know,
intent, yeah. But
not
there,
just
there again, you've got to be able to read that intent right. It's like,
yeah, well,
yeah,
he better hope I do, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's on him, not me. I mean,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I was reading they're making a big headline in the news now about this guy that got shot by a cop that came in the wrong apartment. The
oh
guy,
gosh,
the guy heard the cop making such a racket coming in and all that. He got his gun, which he owned legally, and had it in his hand, and got shot 6 times.
God,
When
did
he
he live?
no,
Oh, jeez.
and it's like that was obviously murder.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you don't call it murder because he was a cop, it's like, well, that's a nice privilege, being
yeah,
able
no
to
doubt.
go around, clatter around, knock
Yeah, I
people
mean
off
there
if
should
they,
be some repercussions for that for sure. I mean,
yeah,
I support the police, but I
yeah,
also support consequences when
yeah,
you make
common sense,
fatal screw ups like
yeah,
that, and that's a fatal screw up. It's just like well, I don't want to get into the hypotheticals, but it's just like a lot of things. If somebody, and somebody's dead, there has to be some kind of accountability.
yeah. It seems like life is getting pretty cheap,
Oh
in a
my
big
gosh,
hurry.
yeah, that's the truth, man. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
I'm glad that, well, I say this. I'm glad that I'm at the age where it feels like I don't have to mess with this kind of thing for so much longer, but who
yeah.
knows? I mean,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
I'm definitely at that age for sure. It's
yeah,
like,
you can be like, I'll stick to myself and I'm good to go.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not
Well, I did
there.
my own what's it, Absorbing Man.
Oh yeah, I saw it. It looks pretty good, man.
I've got his big wrecking
His big
ball,
wrecking
big
ball.
foreground. I'm not sure. Did they have him attached to that so he could break rocks in the yard or something? I forget
Yeah,
why
that
he had
yeah
a
that
bigger.
yeah yep. That's why
It
he
was a
had.
pretty good character design
Yeah, yeah.
for what it
You
was.
did a good
He had
job
that
of
little
capturing
bullet
him.
head.
Yep, exactly.
Tulsa
Anyway,
PD hit the wrong house recently too. Yeah, yeah. You gotta
yeah.
watch. Yeah, those guys. If I had cops swarm, there couldn't be anything much scarier than having a bunch of cops swarm into your house.
Well, especially since
They're
what are
supposed
the
to be scary, you know.
right, right, and also, are they going to identify themselves? And they
Uh,
don't. I mean, we've done active shooter training at work, and
mm-hmm.
and you always watch these videos. And they come in guns drawn, and whether you're the bad guy or the good guy, they're not messing around. You got to, if you don't
Yeah,
directly follow instructions, you're liable to get,
yeah,
shot yourself. You
yeah.
know,
Don't cop an
and
attitude in the face of that. Yeah.
well, and then you go back to the thing we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
paralysis. You
Well,
you you get freaked out, and they say, "What are you doing here?" And you're like,
yeah,
I mean, you say a few too many times,
yeah, yeah.
you may regret that. But
Well,
anyway,
yeah. There's got to
y-
be a word for the. I want a calm cop dealing with me, and it sounds like, you know,
all the
obviously,
calm cops quit.
and all the cops did quit. I tell you,
Well, I don't know
you
if I
listen
go
to some
that
of these,
far, but
listen to some of them as they're arresting somebody. And it's like, Jiminy Christmas, take a breath.
yeah, it's well, I've been pulled over many times, and I've never had a problem. I've had a few cops where I kind of wondered if they were going to give me problems,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, I try and just do what I had a friend who was a cop. He's passed away now, unfortunately, but he told me what to do. And the big thing is you don't want to set them off. I mean, I say set
Yeah,
them off.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
don't if you get pulled over and you want to get out a ticket, the best thing you do is put the cop at ease and
Sure.
make them and kind of de-escalate it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really do that by telling them, "Hey, calm down, man," which I've seen videos of people doing that. Best thing to do is just do what they say and keep your hands where they can see it, and be polite. And I mean, I've gotten out of way more tickets than I've gotten.
Yeah,
So
sure, sure. I mean, no, they've got their thing they have to do. That's their
yeah,
day at the office. So
yeah,
treat it like that.
yep, yep. Anyway, hey Ellis, I think I need to call it a night.
Yeah, I mean, we started late and we've already done 3/4 of what we usually do.
Oh,
We'll
there you
call it a
go.
night. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, let me say this before we go. If somebody's not subscribed to me on YouTube, please follow and subscribe me, or please subscribe. I'm trying to build up my YouTube audience. I've got over 800 follower or 800 subscribers now,
Oh,
Ellis.
that's nice. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I had like 600 not long ago, but I did a video recently, and I talked about this last week, called
You
Three Reasons
blew up.
Why I'll Never Work for Marvel Comics. And I've had people come out of the woodwork to tell me why I'm an idiot and all this stuff. It's
Yeah.
great. I love it, man.
Yeah, sure.
It's
Yeah.
engagement. Bad comments, good comments, whatever.
Engagement. Yep.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to do that. So if you don't follow me, please do that. I would appreciate it. And
Wim has already subbed, and by the way, in the comments in the YouTube, I have at the top Scott's YouTube channel is there, so you can just
oh, okay,
click on that.
thanks. No, thank you. I appreciate that. And
Hmm.
again, I'm trying to build that up a little bit.
Yeah,
If you get 1,000 subscribers, you can.
you can
There,
start to make a nickel or two. Yep.
well, yeah, and even more than that, I want to do some live streams. I hadn't had time lately, but I want to do some live streams drawing like we do, but with just me, on
Hmm.
my channel and stuff.
Hmm.
Anyway, thank you, Wim. I appreciate it. Anybody else that subscribes, I appreciate it.
Anybody else that collides with my average? Actually, I think I got about 80 hits on that one I actually did where I put together all my Inktober's that were Batman themed.
Oh, that's
That was
cool.
that was a recent one. So
Yeah.
so I'm following your example. It's like time to start taking this YouTube stuff semi
Yeah, I mean,
seriously.
not that I want to make any money necessarily. I mean, it'd be cool to make a
Hey,
little bit of money or whatever. I wouldn't turn my nose up at it, but
yeah, yeah.
it'd be really what I want is I want to build up an audience
Hmm.
so that when the Black Cricket goes, it's
It's
published. I
eh,
have a built-in audience for it.
exactly. You need a mailing list is almost
Yeah.
necessary for doing something like that well and successfully. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. No doubt. Anyway,
Okay. Well, I we did it today, Scott. Whether or not
awesome.
we
I
thought
did.
we were going to.
I didn't think it was gonna happen.
Yeah. All right. We're ending. Bye bye,
Okay.
everybody.
See ya.
Yeah, I pushed the button. I thought. There we go.